for the 26th year. The Professional Bowlers Tour. This afternoon, from the Imperial Lanes in Toledo, Ohio, 5 top bowlers will vie for the PBA National Championship. They are, in 5th position, David Ozio, a 3-time winner on the PBA Tour, still looking for his first victory this season. In 4th place, Pete Weber, who's making his 4th championship round appearance of 1987, but without a trip to the winner's circle. In 3rd place, 24-year-old Randy Pedersen from Santa Maria, California. In 2nd place, Marshall Holman, who despite 20 career victories has yet to win the PBA national title. And our tournament leader, Venezuelan-born Amleto Monacelli. Amleto hopes to win his first ever PBA title this afternoon. That's our field competing for the $49,000 top prize at the PBA National Championship on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Capacity crowd here at the Imperial Lanes, all 60 of them pounded. Over 9,800 games from a field of 360, all striving for that trophy, which signifies the National Championship of the Professional Bowlers Association. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Schenkel. Nice to be back in Toledo, that friendly city nestled on the historic Maumee River. What a field we have today, 5 battling for $107,000 live. In our field of 5, there is 1 professional with 20 titles. He has won 4 majors, the United States Open twice, the Firestone twice. Never the PBA National Championship. So Marshall Holman has a chance this afternoon to do what only 2 other men have done. Those 2 professionals, Johnny Petraglia and the other, Billy Hardwick. So let's bring in a former Toledo winner, 17 titles to his credit, my colleague Nelson Burton Jr. Bo.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And how difficult will it be for Marshall to attain that 3rd of the slam?
Well, Chris, obviously the pressure's on Marshall. Only 2 players have ever won the Triple Crown, and obviously that's his main goal. So he'll be one of the tough guys to beat out there. And really, the scores have been so good this week, it's hard to really predict on what's happening. So really what happened this week, the scoring was the story. Last year, Tom Kreitz led this tournament, #1 position, with a mere 210 average. 210 average this year, 1987, would have not gotten you in the top 100. The players we have in the championship round today, all contemporary, strong young players. They've had the pins dancing all week long, sending them sideboard, back and forth, all sorts of pin action. 9 300 games, record scoring pace, and this, the 28th PBA National Tournament. Chris, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of that action today. I think this will be the most exciting national championship ever. They're ready for action.
All right, and we're ready for action too here at the Imperial Lanes, the 7th time that the national championship has been decided here, and going for his 4th title and his first major is this 32-year-old professional from Vidor, Texas, David Ozio. Remember, 49,000 of the winner, 25 for second, 15, 10, and 8. And he's left a 2-4 pin. David Ozio, very intense competitor. Battled last night, Bo, to get to this #5 spot over the great champion Walter Ray Williams.
You're right, Chris, as he changes to a harder ball for the conversion to 2-4.
And chops the 4.
Chris, right before we went on the air, I asked all 5 players if they were going to change balls for spares. Davey Ozio said, no, I will not change. In the first frame, he steps up, changes balls, loses it off his hand. It doesn't have the same feel as a strike ball. Obviously, a major mistake, and you're only going against a very tough competitor, Pete Weber.
9-time champion. Crossing over, and it was a Brooklyn that got to him last night as he went against Roger Pedersen in a tie game and then a game roll-off.
Chris, what a great break. Weber crosses over and trips the 6-pin out with a 3-pin. Obviously an errant shot and a wry smile from our good friend who works for the PBA, Kurt Schmidt, as he remembers that kind of hit. He carried that in '72 here. Now here's the profile of Pete Weber. The high backswing, the low driving step with that right foot. Stays down with that knee. See how that elbow bends and that wrist curls around the ball. The big hook, lost control on that shot. Got a great break. Can take an early 21-pin lead with a strike.
Tremendous smoothness on that shot, but he left the 10-pin on the left lane of this championship pair. Pete only averaging 2 games as he crossed the pair at 196.
Pete also changing to a lower surface friction ball for the spare, but he's been practicing this shot. Let's see what happens.
Pete Weber, 34th television appearance. He was 5th in this championship a year ago. Now Ozio. Ozio with that open frame, a count of 9, trying to rebound in the second frame of our first match. And would you believe the 7-10?
Chris, reminiscent of how we started last week in the Miller Lite Classic in Cleveland. Here the ball comes in light for David Ozio. The ball hits in the 1-3. Watch the action of the 5. It goes straight back, leaving him the 7-10 split.
So what a disappointing way to start the first match of this national championship with back-to-back open frames, immediately trailing by 22 pins.
Setting up the championship pair, 25-26 here at Ducat's Imperial Lanes. The left lane hooks about 2 boards more. That's the lane that Ozio's on right now.
Nope, thought he had a roller. He was going to take out the 10, but no such luck. Remember, the winner of this first match will go against 24-year-old Randy Pedersen. You'll like his style. Then Marshall Holman, and then the Venezuelan Amleto Monacelli. That's the first mark. 3 frames for David Ozio, who can smile nonetheless. Some of the tension perhaps evaporating with that big smile. Now to Pete Weber, 25 years of age in August of this year.
Pete Weber's last championship round appearance being at the King Louis. Remember how he struggled on the right-hand lane in that tournament. Let's see what happens here.
That's the second one.
No surprise.
An apparent good hit, Chris. Watch
Yes.
the action here now as the ball drives through the 1-3. The tremendous hook of Pete Weber does not respect these 3-pound, 8-ounce pins. Drives through and leaves a solid 9.
Okay, 16-pound ball that has to knock down pins weighing what, about 38 total pounds?
Pretty close to that, Chris. The pin weight went up last year from 3-pound, 2-ounce minimum to a 3/6. The PBA Tour normally uses 3-pound, 8-ounce pins, so you're right on there, 35 to 38 pounds. Weber through 3 frames, got a great break in the first frame, 10 pin in the second, solid 9 in the third, leads by 21 pins, 4th frame.
They have had overflow crowds here at the Imperial Lanes in Toledo, testifying to the tremendous interest in bowling in this Ohio city. And a high hit to get a break, leaving only the 4-7.
Pete obviously not attacking anything out there right now. He's been around the pins as he's quickly up on the approach with a second ball, Chris, to make the spare. He'll fire it across lane at the 4-7, maintain a 19-pin lead.
All right. We're in our first match. Pete Weber going against David Ozio. More after this. We're at the site of the PBA National Championship. The number 5 qualifier out of the field of 360. David Ozio of Vidor, Texas, in the Beaumont, Texas area. Trailing by 19. He had 2 open frames, a spare up shooting in the 4th. Total of 260,000 in Nelson. Sweet numbers, 49, 25, and so on down for these 5 finalists.
Chris, what a great change from 1960 when the first PBA National won by Don Carter paid a total of $44,000 to all of the players in the field. Ozio's going to make this a close match, Chris. You watch. He'll start coming back right now.
Rolling, he has an ability to string them. He struck in the 10th frame last night to get to this spot in a clutch situation.
Picking up the action, he drives all 10 pins in the pit, puts a little pressure on Weber. He likes this reaction. Stay there, stay there. All right. Weber has got to put some pressure on Ozio right now because he's let him float for 4 frames, and Ozio's starting to catch fire.
Hit sliding by, leaving the 2 and sleeper 8.
Definitely a tough spare, especially with that wide hook that Peter's throwing today. He'll probably start it down the right side and let it just kind of drift to the left, hopefully to carry out both the 2 and the very tough sleeper 8-pin.
Look out. A little body English by Pete Weber, who is mic'd, and you may hear a word or two from him from time to time. Here's his reaction to that shot.
Well, you got to remember, he's covering about 20 boards with that big hook right now. That body English must have made it for him, Chris.
Mm-hmm. A body does talk, doesn't it? Left lane. And the PBA Rookie of the Year in 1980, winning 9 titles since, has strike in the 6th frame of this first match.
Pete Weber, look at the ball, is about on the 7th board, 5-6 feet in front of the pocket. Takes a big turn, drives the 5 over the 4-7. One of the best shots Peter's rolled so far. He likes it. Look at that reaction. You can see it in his eyes. Now, here's Ozio to take the lead for the first time with another strike.
And this is a young man from Vidor, Texas. In his 2nd TV appearance of the year, he was 3rd, as you may remember, in the championship round in Miami. 3 titles.
Chris, last week, the players started off very slowly as Lisa Ozio looks on. That's her good luck charm, pulling that right ear. We've seen it work before. She must have been pulling it in the last 3 frames as David has come from a 22-pin deficit to a 3-pin lead and extend to 13 with a 4th consecutive strike.
There it is. Oh, what 4-baggers will do for a bowler. He's leading by 13 after trailing by 22. We'll be back. Fighters on Wide World here is a fighter with a bowling ball. He doesn't throw punches, but he throws a 16-pound ball as good as anybody in the world. 4 majors, looking for his first national. That's Randy Pedersen, to whom he's talking now. Randy will meet the winner of our first match here between this young 24-year-old from St. Louis, Dick and Nita Weber's son, Pete. Trails by 13. Strike up can narrow it to 3. Didn't come up, leaving the 2-4.
Chris, the championship pair has a characteristic similar to what we saw in 19 and 20 at King Louis lanes a couple weeks ago, and Weber's having the same type of performance. He cannot seem to conquer the right-hand lane as he quickly goes for the 2-4 spare. And what Peter's problem is the right-hand lane in both instances has been a very slick lane, and when Pete sends that big hook wide, it just won't bite enough to make it back to the 1-3 pocket. When he starts it down the board, similar to what Ozio's doing, it hooks too quickly and he goes high. So a little confusion for Weber on the right lane. He's had good success on the left lane. Right now, 8th frame, he trails by 13 pins. Fingertip grip, urethane bowling ball.
McCordick and Ballard. A win here today could put him in the lead because the winner today will get $49,000.
The great rotation, the great lift of Pete Weber's ball. It hits light in the pocket, driving the head pin the sideboard. Bam! Takes out the 4-5-7. Now, Ozio, 4 strikes in a row, leads by 13, can make it 23 with another strike.
High hit. He avoided the split, leaving the 4-7, talking to himself.
Just a pinch high. Watch the 10 pin on the right side of your screen. It's going to be the last pin to go down. Avoids the 4-7-10 split. Ozio, a simple spare across lane, will use the 3rd arrow from the right. Will lead by 11 pins.
Game is far from over, but we're getting down to the 9th frame now. Match number 1. The loser will leave with $8,000, whereas the winner step closer to 49 grand. watch this.
The action, the 2-pin is going to the sideboard. There it goes to the left sideboard between the 4 and 7 pins. The 8-pin runs a little interference. Bang! Once a pin, I say it once again, falls 9 degrees off a center axis. It must fall in the sport of bowling, and it did for that time for David Ozio. He has an 11-pin lead, but Weber can cut that to 1 with another strike here in the 9th.
Leaving the 9-pin, the man that finished second in Tacoma and Las Vegas and third in Kansas City. Frustrating year.
That's for sure, Chris. He wants to win so badly. I think he's actually pressing. With this spare here, he'll trail by 11 pins going into the 10th frame.
Weber family has done well in Toledo. During this tournament, this was his progress.
As you see, qualifying 4 rounds this week in the long major tournaments. There's 32 games of qualifying. Pete, see his big move was in the 4th round, moving to 2nd, dropped to 13th, and fought his way back into 4th place. If he doesn't win this game, obviously he'll have to take home that last paycheck in the top 5, 8th place, 5th place, 8,000, but he still has a shot.
Who didn't know that? Well, I got a great round this year.
Well, I guess viewers will agree.
This is just ridiculous.
But it's not over.
No.
He's presuming that he either misses this spare or that Ozio will not be errant in the 10th.
Fierce competitor. And all great champions hate to lose.
That's for sure. His 16-pound ball against a 3-pound pin, just touch it. Now Weber, potential 194.
Sure.
Important count loss there, Chris. Right now, David Ozio can get almost any kind of count, and he'll win this match.
All right. Here's the man. Just got into 5th last night.
David needs 8 pins or better on the first ball, and he locks up the match. That's a winner right there. That's a winner. Even with an open frame right here, he would have 194, and he will go on to meet Randy Pedersen.
The man seeking his 4th championship. All right, so we have the winner of the first match. We'll give you his final score a little bit later, but David Ozio now will go against Randy Pedersen in Toledo.
Roth for a 29-pin lead.
He teased it, but he leaves 7 pins.
And he leaves the crowd buzzing. A good shot, apparently a good shot, hitting very light. Roth ripped the 5-pin and went behind the 7. The normal pin action on that hit, the 5-pin goes over, takes out the 7. The 6 came around and hits the 10, but neither one of them happened that time. Roth is just going to go for 1.
All right. Talk about a degree of difficulty. Well, it's difficult to win a PBA National Championship, but Ozio is 1 step closer. 206 to Pete Weber's 190 now against Pedersen. It starts out with a bang. Now, you're going to get your first look today at Randy Pedersen, his 2nd television appearance, and he's a likable 24-year-old beau from Santa Maria, California.
You're right, Chris. A very strong player. He has really developed his game out here on the tour. He digs his fingers deep into those finger holes. He used to be a tremendous cranker, has cut it down a little bit, but he still has a lot of power on that bowling ball.
There you see the result of that 6'2" frame, 165 pounds, former basketball player in high school with Leon Wood of the New Jersey Nets.
And that's good company to be in. As you see, the 5-step delivery of Randy Pedersen. Good extended push away. Nice steady head on the target. Drops that right knee down on that pivot step. Good long slide. Good extension. Shoulders back with a high follow through. Put that in a picture book scenario, and that is a great shot.
One championship. That was the A.C. Delco Classic in 1986 on the West Coast. Beautiful. No raising up. Great follow through. Everything.
Randy Pedersen, no doubt, when this ball drives through the pins. And did he come to play? Watch this reaction. Boom. All right, Ozio, the even the match.
And another 9-pin, more than we've seen in all the telecasts over the years.
You're right, Chris. Watch the action as the ball drives through the 1-3 and then hooks right past the 9-pin. Tremendous. In fact, he almost left a 7-9 split. Just too much power on that ball.
David Ozio traveling this 16-week winter television tour in a motorhome with his wife Lisa and their daughter Heather. A little comfort. Comforting strike, too, I might add, because his opponent has a double up and will be shooting in the third.
Ozio just looks so sharp after sneaking by Weber in that first match. He's a well-practiced player, one of the dedicated practicers on the tour. He and his partner in the doubles competition on the PBA Tour, Steve Wunderlich, probably practice as much as anyone. It'll show up today. Now here's Pedersen looking to extend his lead to 20.
10-pin on the right lane for Randy.
Randy. Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Bo.
All right, solid in the pocket. Once again, we see the 6-pin, the key pin, being driven right over the top of the 10. And obviously, during the week when we talked about record scores, 9 perfect games, we did not have that type of action when the ball is driving the pins down in such a manner that they can't carry them all. Sometimes it's the adrenaline flowing. These players are putting a little extra power on the shot.
You had that one nailed, walking away, and Randy Pedersen by round.
Randy historically bowls good in the tough scoring tournaments, but a high scoring tournament here seemed to be to his liking. As you see through the 32nd game, he took the lead, dropped down in round 5 Thursday night, recovered to 3 Friday morning, and Friday night had that exciting tie match with Pete Weber, defeating Pete to drop into the number 3 position. Here he is trying to hold that position against the winner of the first match, David Ozio.
Game roll-off, exciting it was last night. 236 to 224. Second game, more of it after this. There is the ever effervescent Marshall Holman, who will meet the winner of the match that is underway. Going for his first PBA National Championship and going for his first win is Amleto Monacelli of Venezuela, and I'm sure there's great advice coming from the seasoned veteran.
Well, unfortunately, Marshall, I know, does not know how to speak Spanish, so Amleto is not paying much attention to what Marshall is telling him. Obviously, Amleto is the tournament leader. Marshall will have to gain the right to beat him. Now, here's Ozio. He needs a strike to take the lead.
And there's that 1 pin, the 4 on the right lane.
Chris, that was just a poor shot by David Ozio as his wife Lisa looks onto the scoreboard. David just did not let that ball go on time, and he left the 4-pin. Once again, a pretty easy spare to shoot.
Sort of scolds himself. He hits himself on the thigh when things don't go quite right. In other words, wake up, David. 5th frame. Now the 24-year-old with 2 different bowling shoes.
Chris, the reason that Randy has 2 different shoes on, some of the players had trouble in the sliding area right near the foul line, and so Randy just switched to a left shoe that slides a little bit better. Obviously, it's a little bit older, too.
Yeah.
And it seems to be doing the job for him. Some of the players put a little Teflon on their heels, so that's 2 ways to get the good, smooth slide.
All right. An important double for the 24-year-old. Earlier, we asked about winning the last game if it was a big confidence booster.
winning that match, I think, was a kind of gave me a lot of momentum going into today. And the other thing that really helped or boost my confidence was looking at Pete Weber's hand over the air dryer at the ball return. It was just shaking, and to realize that somebody was as nervous as I was kind of pumped me up a little bit.
So he is in the second match going for the title to add to his one PBA title that he has. And in that match, after they tied following 56 games, this young man shot a 227, or rather a 236 to Weber's 224 to get to this point.
Extended play for Randy Pedersen. Actually, it's like winning a championship game on TV, so he's in good position.
Leaving a 10.
I like what I see out there with Randy Pedersen. I've seen him years past as you see this ball coming in light, leaving what we call the half 10, as he was never very aggressive in the championship round, Chris. Despite winning at the AC Delco Classic in the San Francisco area, Randy never let his personality come through on the bowling lane, and obviously we can see what he just told us in that interview. He's allowing Randy Pedersen to be the best he can be, and he looks great out there right now.
Such a smooth release on the lanes here. As we look at the leading money winners, as we said, Pete Weber, if he'd been able to go all the way, could have taken over the lead. And there you see Marshall with 46,000 and Ozio 18,000 and Monacelli with 15 plus. Plagued by 10 pins.
No doubt, Chris. Every ball's been in the pocket. Ozio went strike, solid 9, strike, 4 pin, strike, solid 10. Could have had 6 strikes in a row, and as all bowling fans know, you can't score high scores without stringing them together. Ozio with this spare would trail by 18 pins through 6 frames.
Again, he had 2 open frames in the first match, which he won, but now here in the 6th, another.
Chris, we said changing balls. I just don't think it's a good idea. We saw one of the great players of all time, Mike Durbin, do the exact same thing here about 4 years ago against Earl Anthony. It cost him the title. Ozio has definitely dug himself a hole.
Ozio unfortunately bounced back. All right. There you see behind the scenes. That's how it all happens and how they're set up automatically. We'll be back. Second match for the PBA National title. He is up now using most of the approach, shooting in the 7th frame, a spare working. All right, he comes up with his 5th strike of this match. And on Wide World, we'll also learn the name of the Athlete of the Week. This man's name is Randy Pedersen, a good name to remember. The surfer from California. And Mr. Pedersen, Mr. Pedersen, however you want to say it, has a big double.
Watch the action of the ball, Chris, as it drives through the 1-3, drives the 5 over into the 7 pin. This is why you put spin and lift on the ball, and he has just opened this rack wide apart. And with that shot, he puts Ozio in a big hole. He must strike here. He trails by 40 pins.
Extremely high hit, but power on the ball carried them. And that double, Nelson, as you pointed out, with the foundation frame coming up.
You're exactly right, Chris. It kept Ozio in the match. Let's give Ozio strikes in the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th frames, a possible 228. Randy Pedersen going at a 228 pace, but the pressure's all on Ozio. He must have this shot.
And gets it. The Professional Bowlers Tour Tip of the Week is going to follow this match. I want you to watch the masked marvel named Nelson Burton Jr.
Well, when you see that tip, I don't recommend trying it yourself, but it's a good point made by the tip. Now, here's Pedersen. I think David Ozio's trying to lull him to sleep, Chris. He kind of acted nonchalant when he threw that double. Let's see if Pedersen really takes the attack to him here in the 9th.
High hit. 10 goes, 6 is standing, so Randy will have to try and cover that in the 9th.
And look what can happen in the sport of bowling. David Ozio said, "Oh, Randy, I think I've gotten the match out of hand right now. I can't win." Pedersen falls asleep, almost gets a split. Right now, he's going at a 2:27 pace, and he only leads the match by 19. Ozio has 3 strikes working. This will go down to the final ball.
Made sure. For Randy, it's his 5th television appearance. And he prides himself in being a fairly good comedian, impersonating various people. Dead serious out here today, though, isn't he?
That's for sure. As you see him needing 2 strikes to lock up the match. Anything less, Ozio can still win.
Thing of beauty. The winner will meet Marshall Holman. The winner of that semifinal game will go against Amleto, Monacelli, Venezuela.
This young man, 24 years old, started bowling in the junior program at the age of 8. The first game he ever rolled, Chris, he told me was 93. He vividly remembers it. And if he can throw a strike here, which will lock up this match, I'm sure this will be another big memory in his career. But if he doesn't strike, Ozio can still win.
Great determination last night, carrying over 12 hours later to right now.
Watch this form under pressure. Watch that knee bend. Watch that arm extended directly towards the target. You could not walk down there and place it 60 feet away any more perfectly than he threw that shot. He's going on to meet Marshall Holman in the semifinal.
And for Ozio, it'll be $10,000. A big 237 with 9 strikes in victory. Holman next, but before that, the masked marvel, Nelson Burton Jr. with a tip. The Professional Bowlers Tour Tip of the Week is brought to you by Old Spice. Its subtle masculine fragrance is the classic scent of the American male.
I'm not sleeping on the job. I've got this mask on for an experiment, which I'll show you later. You know, one of the biggest mistakes that amateurs and pros alike make in clutch situations is simply this. They pull their eyes up off their target arrow before that ball ever reaches the target. Today's practice session will show you how you can perform in the clutch and perform well whenever you need it. I simply want you to bowl a whole game without ever looking at the pins. Always look at your target arrow for the whole shot on your first ball and your second ball. Now, with the help of this eye shade, I'm going to try my experiment. Well, that may have been blind luck, but I don't recommend using a mask either. But the point is, when you're practicing, keep your eyes off the pins and on your strike target arrow.
The guard changes often in our finals on our weekly telecast live. You see Ozio winning the first game over Weber. Pedersen comes out of the wings and wins over Ozio 237 to 190 with 9 strikes. What a championship. It'll be hard-earned.
A big field, a long tournament, 7 days. Size of the field 360 as opposed to our normal 160. Average score 206, extremely high. Look at that 219 average to make the top 24. We paid 90 spots this week, a tremendous prize fund. And here's some of the players that did make the top 24. Walter Ray Williams, dead-eye, losing out in the last game. Rowdy Morrow, steady all week. Ron Palumbi at a 300. Jeff Mackey, Show Me State, Missouri. The great Mark Roth, Tom Milton, the Miller's champs, Dave D'Entremont, he's a name to watch, Sam Macarone always there. My old buddy, the veteran Sutar up there, Steve Martin, Paul Renteria, doing very well. John Mazza, look at that, $2,000, I'll have to explain that at the end. Janelle Hannes, Dale Strike, his dad Bill's a super guy. Powerful John Kirker, Brian Voss, Jeff Dreyfus, Steve Lang, and here Jimmy Fritz finished 25th. He dropped out and allowed Mazza to come in. Mazza bowled the last 8 games and moved from 25th up into the number 17 position, Chris. And here's some of the tournaments coming up. The Fairlanes, then we go on to the Showboat in Atlantic City, and then we down the pipe to the last two big ones, Chris. One of your favorites, the Greater Hartford, and here's the daddy of them all, the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
Our 12th stop in a tour of 16 cities, coast to coast, and 4 to go in our 26th season. So we've had a tremendous 25th anniversary year. 12 tournaments, 12 different winners. There is not a left-hander in the field as right-hander Marshall Holman gets his last practice shot. Earl Anthony, who had won 3 national of his 6 right here, finished 63rd.
Well, Chris, the action's going to really pick up here. Obviously, Randy Pedersen is bowled as well as you can. 237, a couple of taps, could have had a really big game. Holman, he wants this so badly. He was just chomping at the bit all week long. The third jewel in bowling's Triple Crown, $49,000 awaiting one of these last 3 men. Here we go.
Remember, this young man shot a 237 with 9 strikes in his victory over David Ozio. And now a look at a 2-time Firestone champion, a 2-time United States Open champion, Marshall Holman, the 32-year-old who wears his emotions and his feelings on his sleeve. Watch him. He's exciting. The Oregonian has arrived.
Watch Marshall Holman, steady, low, steady head. Now watch the action of his hand, too. He keeps that wrist behind the ball, and he doesn't go around the ball. He lifts straight through the ball. He lets the wrist do the work. His fingers stay right behind the ball, straight up through the shot. Most people think you must go around the bowling ball to get a hook. Obviously, that'll hook it, but it will never be as efficient as the straight-through lift of the great Marshall Holman. Both players have started with a strike.
This man who's just doubled in his 85th television appearance. His best finish ever here was 8th.
Watch the power. Holman drives the 1-3, and watch the action of the head pin as it comes back across. This is power. There's the head pin to the sideboard, over into the 4-5-7. He's got them all working for him. Let's see if this young man is going to be intimidated by Holman's quick start and aggressive manner.
On a high hit, keeping the match even after 2 frames, 4 strikes.
Now, Holman carried that light hit. He loved that. But watch this. Randy Pedersen, he's heading high looking for a split. Look at the little bit apprehensive in his eyes. Now watch his reaction when they all go down. Yes, I got to like that. Match all even. Both players are all strikes through 2 frames.
Left lane. The 7-pin going out the last moment to make it 3 in a row.
Well, we saw Holman do it on the left-hand lane. Pedersen says, I got a lot of ball too, partner. Drives that 5 into the 4, 4 into the 7. The head pin comes dancing back. And let's see if he turns and puts a little of this on to Holman. A little of your own medicine, Marshall. And now we have a little delay out here is Kurt Schmidt, the farmer champion here in 1972, is wiping off the approach where we had some dust get in the way. Marshall Holman spotted that, a very smart move. All right, through 2 frames, Holman's perfect. Pedersen has 3 strikes. The full approach.
And a high hit. The 4s, 6, 9, 10.
Holman right through the middle, and watch, he barely knocks out the 4-pin. He leaves these 3 pins here and over in the corner. He quickly fires away, and he just slid right by Chris, and he knocked off just the 10-pin. And Holman, a great player, but not a very smart move as he throws away 4 pins because he was working on a double. Now here he goes right through the middle. 4, 6, 9, 10. Holman only clips the 10-pin out of this. He has 50 through 3 frames. He is trailing by 20 all of a sudden.
Stand up.
And is left with the 7-10, the man who finished 4th in Tacoma, 2nd in Miami in our Remember When segment. Mark Roth made the 7-10 once upon a time. Marshall did not have that luck. Talk about lofting 16-pounders out of the lane. Marshall did it back-to-back. And he is totally frustrated at this point. You're looking at a very complex champion. 20 times. Did he say it's over? No, Marshall. That's the wrong attitude.
Well, I don't know, Chris. If somebody would have asked me in the commercial if it's over, I would say not necessarily, but Marshall's the man with the bowling ball in his hand, and obviously he can't control what this man is doing, and he's perfect through 3 frames.
Frustration of Holman.
Watch the head pin. The messenger. It goes to the left wall. Bounces out of the channel, comes rolling across. 3-pound 8-ounce pin against 3-pound 8-ounce pin. See you later. 51-pin lead. Randy Pedersen, watch this.
Here's the young man that defeated David Ozio 237 to 190 from the number 3 position, now in the semifinal match. Now he is really pumped. Pedersen, Holman. After back-to-back open frames, Marshall Holman is left to 4-7. He started with a double.
Well, Marshall Holman, Chris, you picked it out, reading his lips. He says, just get it over with, and obviously his mind is not too much on this game. He'd just like to pick up his ball and walk out. I guess his druthers about it.
But this is a title that he has yet to win. Imagine 2 Firestones, 2 United States Open, a total of 20 titles. This guy is so talented. With a spare up in the 5th, and the 3rd bowler to earn over $1 million, along with Earl Anthony and Mark Roth. 4-7.
Well, Chris, if he's really throwing in the towel, I'll give him something to shoot for. The greatest margin of loss in the PBA of all times that you have been doing telecasts was 279 to 153. That was Urban over Lob in Dublin, California. He's got something to shoot for.
For this young man, Randy Pedersen now with 5 in a row. First major title possibility. Amleto Monacelli, the tournament leader, will be in the next match. 49,000 in that game. To the winner, 25 for runner-up, 15 to the loser of this game. 6 in a row. True Value Hardware. He can do 6 more, $100,000. You notice him sort of loosening the collar. Things do get a little tight. 6 consecutive. True Value $100,000. And Holman is up in a hurry. Leaving a 4-pin, the man that moves to the line more quickly than anybody I've ever seen, and especially today.
Holman like a sailboat on a windless day, Chris.
Yes.
No momentum, no movement, and he's going nowhere.
And the game plan is shot down. 7 strikes in a row for his opponent. Look at them. What a pretty sight.
Take him, Marshall!
Leaving a 10-pin. Saying the 7 to go with the 10.
Well, Well, there are two sides to Marshall Holman. Obviously, it's very easy to flip his coin from one to the other. So here he goes.
All right. To know him is to love him, believe me. Very intelligent young man. Just a great guy, but sometimes, it's like the great Hoagie Carmichael tune, which starts out, "Sometimes I wonder." Stardust, right?
You got it.
This young man could see some stardust. 7 in a row. Here's the 8th frame shot. Right lane, Randy Pedersen. Count 'em. 8 in a row. 4 to go.
Chris, there's a certain realization of what he's done. We saw Pete McCordick roll that tremendous 300 in Los Angeles earlier this year. Nobody believed they could do it. It really wasn't in the back of their minds. All of a sudden, Randy, he just hit his head. He says, God, I saw it done just a couple of months ago. I can do it. I saw a guy from the PBA run to get a check, hopefully with a $100,000 figure on it. Everybody is wired. This is 8 strikes in a row, 9th frame.
Okay. All right. 9 of them. 3 to go. Holman. Okay. Well, when you have a 5. Look at that.
That's a first.
That's a first, Mark.
As
Not on TV.
Marshall's looking up the announce booth. He wants some advice. Of course, that's a first, the 157. Marshall, you now trail by 108 pins. You can possibly extend to 127. You'll set another record.
That's right. Remarkable bowler, winning the 2 Firestones in a 10-year span, 76 and 86.
Well, the pressure's on Marshall, Chris. If he's going to set the record for largest margin of loss, he cannot strike on this ball. If he strikes on this ball, he can't set the record.
That's a bummer.
If he had only known that that strike cost him a place in the record book. Oh, well, there'll be better days.
All right.
The lighthearted Marshall, I'm sure he's in Randy Pedersen's corner right now.
I bet he is. All right, a big 180 for Marshall Holman. And now he is grasped the hand of 24-year-old Randy Pedersen of Santa Maria, California, who had his last 300 at the Buckeye Lanes in North Olmsted. All right, 9 in a row. 3 to go. And now, 2 to go. Well, Bo, I waited 26 years to give her a $100,000 check. Did it earlier. Who knows?
Chris, in all honesty, life is that way. We know it. You ever had a speeding ticket, and you might go years without getting one. All of a sudden, you get one, and one's right behind it. The same is true in 300 games. Ask any pro bowler who's rolled a 300. It seems like they roll in streaks. This man is only 2 shots away for the second one in 1987 on the PBA Tour.
Oh, a 10. Going for the 11th. And Marshall is quickly out there. Of course, he has won this match with a 289 to Marshall's 180. Now has a shot at a major title. His opponent will be the Venezuelan by the name of Amleto Monacelli. Here he is now going for that 10 pin, which would give him the 289. 10 strikes, Bo.
An apparent good hit. Randy just not quite enough leverage. The 6 doesn't quite bump out the 10. That lone pin alone there eliminated him from a chance at $100,000.
All right. Coming up now, the Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this message and a word from our local station, Monacelli and Pedersen. Amleto Monacelli of Venezuela looking for his first victory in a 6-year career. It's been very successful, except he would like to win the PBA National Championship today. And as you see, his opponent will be Randy Pedersen, 10 in a row in a big victory over Marshall Holman, who shot a 180.
And there's a lot going for this. As you see the matches so far, Weber never on track. Ozio missed a 10-pin, opened the door for Pedersen. Randy took the ball and carried it and shot a 289.
Each week you have the opportunity to ask Bo a bowling question. Here's the question and the answer today.
Today's Ask Bo question involves an American Bowling Congress league rule. And it goes something like this. Dear Bo, I am a league bowler with a slight problem because I am ambidextrous. The American Bowling Congress says that you cannot bowl with either hand unless you have an injury. Why is this? A baseball player can switch hit, a boxer can hit with either hand, and yet in the sport of bowling you can't switch. I feel this is an unfair restriction. Also, if I'm struggling from the right side, why can't I switch to the left if I can improve my scoring? Well, I think this is a very good question, and I agree with you. I feel that if a player tries to maximize his scoring ability, that he should be able to switch to either the left hand or the right hand. Maybe the American Bowling Congress will change this rule in the near future. For any other people that have Ask Bo questions, please write to this address.
So it's Ask Bo, Post Office Box 951, Radio City Station, New York, New York, 10019. Question is, which of these two will be the PBA National Champion and $49,000 richer?
Chris, and a couple other things that go along with it. Amleto Monacelli, never in the winner's circle, would qualify for the Firestone. Randy Pedersen needs to requalify, so one of these players is going to knock out Ted Hanna's out of the 52-man field, which will be bowled just 4 weeks from today. Here's the first shot championship match.
Tournament leader leaves a 8-pin, seems anchored to that deck.
What an ominous way to start. Perfect hit, or near perfect hit, solid 8. Monacelli switching balls for spares. He's used to doing it. I don't think he'll have any trouble, although his downfall in championship matches has been his inability to convert simple spares.
Safely in the first frame with a mark with Monacelli, and now the man, Randy Pedersen, who had 10 in a row, on his way, but then came the 11th shot. Look at that, 289 to 180. Back at it. Here's a shot from behind of Pedersen's delivery.
Watch his right shoulder, how he locks it in and drives through with that right step or pivot step. Now, there's his second, third. Now watch this fourth step coming up. Look at that right foot and how that shoulders lock in, how he pushes off with that right foot, driving through that pivot step. Look at just absolutely perfect. When they start walking away from him like that, Chris, when the ball's halfway down the lane, you can bet all 10 are going in the pit.
Big double for Pedersen. First time in my recollection, Bo, where we have the two professionals in the final that do not wear matching bowling shoes.
I think you're correct. Randy Pedersen obviously adjusted his sliding foot because of the sticky approaches. Amleto Monacelli, just a good luck charm. He's bowled well with that red left shoe and the white right shoe, so he's sticking with it.
That shot sliding by, leaving the 2-4-5 for Monacelli.
Amleto Monacelli, some of that raw ability we've always seen in Mark Roth, kind of takes almost a 6-step delivery. He kind of rocks with his first step, then he takes 5 steps, has that high backswing, open-handed. Look at it, completely open at the top of the swing. Then he rotates that wrist back underneath the ball, long slide. Once again, that tremendous wrist action. See the fingers staying straight behind the bowling ball.
Amleto in his 14th television appearance. He is 22nd 4 times.
Such a likable young man. He speaks 4 languages, English, French, Italian, and obviously Spanish. And we call him the Rod Stewart of the Pro Bowlers Tour. The girls just follow him around everywhere he goes. A young, likable bachelor. Fingertip grip. Trails by 13 pins, 3rd frame.
Oh, averted that split, leaving the 4-7. And some Venezuelans living here at Toledo are up around the front rows cheering their man on.
As you see the delivery of Monacelli just going right through the middle, knocking out the 6-pin in delayed action, leaving an easy spare. And Chris, he'll make this spare. He'll trail by 15 minimum going into the first break here in the final match. And I think Monacelli can come back in this match.
In the National Championship in Toledo, Imperial Lanes, George Haig, the chairman and president of Toledo Trust, announced last night that this tournament will return this championship. Prize money up to $270,000 for the field a year from now. It's good news.
Randy Pedersen, I guess a bug of some type, was walking across the floor. He gave him a little message, go away, and had the mental acuity to realize that it's not such a traumatic moment.
And a 10-pin on that pesky right lane that ended his string at 10 in the previous game.
Boy, he's just rolling the ball so well, so well. A little body language. Ooh, he wanted to lock this match up right away. And really the man that needed that hit more than Randy Pedersen was a little relief for Monacelli. Let him collect his thoughts. The worst that can happen to Monacelli is be trailing by 14 pins after 4 frames.
Okay, we're in Toledo. Next week we're going to Washington, D.C. area for the Fairlanes Open. We look forward to that. Getting there at the nation's capital and seeing some of the museums and a lot of great bowling.
And I think we can go to one museum and see a display of Chris Schenkel's. Can we tell us about that one?
Well, there are a few American Indian peace medals around there. Maybe I'll go visit them.
Say hi from Daddy. Now,
That's right.
the grip of Randy Pedersen. 4th frame, leads by 14.
Impressive performance by this 24-year-old from Santa Maria, California, leading by 14. We'll be back. 2 professionals battling for the PBA National Championship of 1987. A non-winner, Amleto Monacelli, Venezuela, trailing by 14, shooting in the 4th frame of the final game with spare working. First strike of this championship match, a young man that averaged 226 for 56 games.
The power of Monacelli. He just lifts 10 pins right off the pin deck, driving them all into the back. That was his best shot of the match. And you know, Chris, that little commercial we do have in a championship match, I'm all in favor of it. It's like a timeout. A player needs a little timeout, and I think that's one of the reasons that players seem to come back in the last half of a match. It's been a reprieve so far for Monacelli, and with a strike here in the 5th frame, he can cut Pedersen's lead down to just 4 pins.
Big one for Monacelli of Barquisimeto, Venezuela.
All right, uses that power. Drives that 5 over into the 7. He cuts Pedersen's lead down to 4 pins. Now let's see Randy Pedersen, as Monacelli definitely likes that. Nothing has seemed to bother Pedersen so far today, Chris.
And he answers with his own double and a cooperative 4-pin. Incredible.
Watch the action of the 2-pin. It goes to the sideboard, gets caught up in between the 4 and 7 pins, and this is the greatest break a pro bowler can get. When he can throw all that power and still avoid the split and then cash in a strike on a high hit. Pedersen has it all going for him right now.
If you just joined us in his last match, he had 10 in a row. Missed on his 11th, left a 10 pin, finished with a 289 against Marshall Holman's 180. Watch now for excitement.
He says the game is on. 5 frames less. National Championship. $49,000 and 1 extra bonus and a major title, Chris. A 3-year exemption from the Firestone Tournament Champion. Just not a 1-year ride.
Right.
That alone's worth $6,000 if you just show up. Now, Monacelli trails by 24. Has 2 strikes working. Could cut the lead of Pedersen's down to 14 with a strike.
Almost crossing over and leaving the 3-pin, Monacelli, who has earned over $15,000, whereas Pedersen $5,900 thus far this year.
Monacelli gets a good break when the head pin slides behind the 3-pin and takes out the 10 and avoids the split. See it slip over there, drive the 6 into the 10. Easy spare. He will trail by 25 through 6 frames. The big 4 frames left.
Long tournament, 56 games.
Well, we have 8-game blocks here, so you see rounds 1 through 4. That's 32 games. Normally, it's only 18. Then the normal 24-man match play. Holman was early leader. Holman was the early leader. And last night, Chris, as you and I watched, Monacelli in the clutch won 5 straight games to overtake Holman. And right now, he has to duplicate that performance as he trails by 25 pins with just 4 frames remaining. The national championship on the line.
Incidentally, you saw Mark Roth led after one of the rounds. He finished 10th overall in this championship. We'll be back. The match play championship game. Randy Pedersen leading Amleto Monacelli by 25, 3 in a row, shooting in the 7th frame. The 7-pin.
The pin action of Randy. He sends the head pin to the sideboard, and once again, it doesn't take out the 7-pin. With a conversion here, he would have a commanding 24-pin lead. But Chris, stranger things have happened in the last 3 frames of a major championship. It is not over.
Oh, hook.
Yeah, he got it. He wanted to hook a little more. 2 young professionals. Pedersen, 24, Monacelli, 25. Bowling for a combination of $74,000 in this one game.
Randy, whose father absolutely loves to watch him bowl, he says. His father is a 185 average, and I'm sure he's home in California rooting his son on, but only Randy Pedersen can determine who's going to win this match. He's in the driver's seat, but can he close the door on the action here?
Another one, Bo. I can't believe it.
The solid 8. Let's watch this hit now. Now, we'll show you what happens on a solid 8 hit. What does, the ball drives through the 1-3. Now, watch the action as the 5-pin. It goes straight off of the 8-pin. The 2-pin will go to the left. Here it goes. Now, watch. The head pin drives into the 1, the 2. The 5-pin goes straight back to left. The 2-pin goes to the left of the 8-pin.
All right.
The biggest ball of the week for Amleto Monacelli. Trails by 23, strike up, 8th frame.
And he delivers that tournament leader.
Monacelli has learned from his mistakes. Normally, Amleto will not maintain his form in crucial situations. Watch from behind as he drives through the shot. The ball goes down the lane. Now watch how he poses, or what we call post the shot. There he's holding, he's holding, he's holding. Usually he's running them out this time in critical situations. He makes his own break. And now, with that strike there in the 8th frame, he can cut Pedersen's lead, Chris, down to just 3 pins.
Championship game. performance by the tournament leader, who's had to wait a long time to get into this final game.
Tremendous power. He just lifts the 10-pin right off the lane. He's got to like it. Look at him stay down. He stays down. He stays down. And the pins stay down. Now, let's see how Pedersen reacts. His margin was 24 pins just 2 frames ago. It's only 3.
Leaving the 1, 2, 4 on the right side.
Chris, if you're leading by 3 pins, you have a spare up, and you leave 3 pins remaining, what does that make the score? About all even, doesn't it, partner? Right now, Pedersen going at a 224 pace. Monacelli, a 224 pace.
Yeah.
This has been one of those great championships. Capacity crowds in this Ohio City Bow. Duke has done a great job hosting it again.
The ultimate athletic moment for a professional bowler, the national championship. It's all tied, 10th frame.
Let's replay that last shot and the result.
Last night, in the same position, Randy Pedersen came up against Pete Weber, needed 3 strikes to tie the match. This is exactly what he did. He knocked the 6 out with a 10 on the first shot, drilled the second one, got the third one. But by no means can he lock out Monacelli.
Smooth shot, great slide into home, but not there yet. Randy Pedersen of California.
Just a little bit better than the first one. In the 11th frame, he drills all 10 pins in the pit. He loves it. National championship on the line. Now, if Randy Pedersen can strike on this ball, he'll force Monacelli to get 2 strikes. If he would happen to get 9 or less, we have a possibility of a tie match.
A 10-pin and a 233 for Randy Pedersen against Venezuela's Amleto. Monacelli with a triple up. 10th frame for him coming up.
For Randy Pedersen, it's finished for today, maybe. 233s, looking at the scoreboard. For Amleto Monacelli, here's what he must do. He must strike on this ball and strike on the next ball. He wins. If he strikes on this ball and gets 9, we have a tie. Anything less than a strike on this shot, Monacelli finishes second.
There it is. A 4-pin that has played bowling from day one. Amleto Monacelli, tournament leader through 56 games. And oh, that is a tough one.
Chris, the ball just wanders a pinch high. The breaks all Randy Pedersen's way. That's the hit that Pedersen carried out to take the lead early in the match when Monacelli needed it most. Obviously disappointed, but he will be back.
One consolation, $25,000 to the runner-up, $49,000 to the victor, and the PBA National title, Randy Pedersen. Young man from California.
It's like, Chris, I don't know what to say. It was an incredible week all week. You know, I haven't been bowling that good this winter. And I worked with John Jowdy, and he got my game to where, I mean, you know, look where we end up. And he worked with me on Sunday during the practice session. I'm here now, and I mean, I can't believe it. It's incredible. I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to dedicate this tournament to my grandfather who's in the hospital, and my girlfriend's grandmother who died 2 weeks ago. She watched pro bowling every Saturday.
Okay, Bob Carlisle, Vice President of Toledo Trust. Quickly, Bob, with a check and a trophy.
Chris, thank you. Randy, congratulations. It's been a great week for Toledo Trust, for the city of Toledo, and as I see from $49,000 check, it hasn't been too bad a week for you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'd like to...
He is a big national champion. Many, many more to you. Okay. The final score, 233 to Amleto, Monacelli's 222. Coming up next, an exciting wide world of sports. Boxing, 2 great matches. Whitaker, Mayweather, Hagler, and Hearns. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports. Final game, 233 to 222. Pedersen the winner.